Hello, everybody. This is Betsy Wurzel, host of Chatting with Betsy on Passionate World Talk Radio. Jeannie White is the producer and writes the blog. Thank you, Jeannie, and thank you to Lillian Caldwell, CEO of Passionate World Talk Radio. Folks, every guest is special to me, and doing this show, Chatting with Betsy, is an honor for me to do. I do this show to help others. I want people to know about people who can help them, who provide resources to help the caregiver. And if you're not a caregiver, you very may well be in the future. And just to let you know what services are available. Because you know what? I wish I knew about my guest when I had Matt. I wish I knew about resources, and that is the honest truth. If you miss any of this podcast, you can catch it on Apple, Google, iHeart, and wherever you hear podcasts, even Amazon Music. And I think you're going to enjoy this show. Folks, do you ever think about dementia coach? You ever wonder what the difference is between someone who just took a course and someone who has a medical background? Well, personally, and people might get offended when I say this, but that's okay. Personally, if I was looking for a dementia coach, I would want someone with a medical background. That's me personally. And my special guest does. I want to welcome Jessie Hillock, who is a speech therapist, and she is owner and founder of the Memory Compass. Excuse me. Welcome, Jessie. Sometimes I can't talk.
That's okay.
We have fun on Chatting with Betsy. I can't get a word out. That's okay. I just roll with it.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, thank you, Betsy.
Oh, you're welcome. I can't read my own handwriting. That's why I don't do notes, folks.
Okay.
And Jessie, you're out in Indiana.
Yes, I'm in Indiana.
And you're a licensed speech therapist. You have a master's degree. And
yes.
You specialize in a certain area. Can you please tell a background about yourself to the listeners?
Yeah, so just like you said, my master's is in speech therapy. So I have a bachelor's. I went to Purdue University for undergrad, and then I went to St. Louis University for grad and studied communication sciences and disorders. And a lot of times when you hear about a speech therapist, main thing that comes to mind for adults is usually stroke. For kids, it's usually articulation, but for adults, usually people think of working with a speech therapist for stroke and helping with communication following the stroke. But there are speech therapists out there. There's a lot of us that our area of specialty is stroke, but also can be other cognitive communication disorders. And my area of specialty is working with the dementia population. And I got into that. After graduating, I started working in a skilled nursing facility. And a lot of people know that, if you go into rehab at a skilled nursing facility, the easiest way to explain who you're going to work with is, lower body, that's going to be physical therapy. Upper body, it's going to be occupational therapy. And then people think of speech as in just talking, but we also work on the swallowing component. We work on following directions, sequencing, problem solving. So anytime somebody admits to a skilled nursing facility and they're demonstrating confusion or demonstrating safety issues or demonstrating word finding, following directions, sequencing, all of that, you'll get referred to a speech therapist to do a cognitive evaluation. And I can't tell you the amount of times that I would go into a room and people would say, oh gosh, speech therapist, I don't need a speech therapist, I talk just fine. So a lot of people don't know that that's something that we also are able to provide for people who are struggling, with memory and problem solving and safety. And I worked in that area for 7 years, and I had a lot of people who, families that I worked with who expressed to me that they were frustrated that after they received a diagnosis, there was not a whole lot of support from their medical team, and they had no idea that a speech therapist could help with these things. And since I was seeing them in rehab, I was already seeing them when they were in a crisis mode. Something had already happened to get them to rehab. And I decided that I wanted to try to change that in any way I could. And so I started a mobile private practice, and I go into the home and, hope to prevent a crisis mode of a rehab situation and try to educate people to try to keep people in the home as long as possible.
That sounds great, Jessie, and thank you for what you do. And I want to tell the listeners, a mutual friend of ours, tagged me to take a look at Jessie. And I saw Jessie on some Facebook page, and I loved Jessie's energy and what you had to say. And I said, I got to contact Jessie for an interview.
Yes,
because
thank you.
You're welcome, because, a great resource. So when someone gets in contact with you, does it just have to be in Indiana, or do you do virtual Zoom, or both?
Good question. Yeah, good question. So in the state of Indiana, I'm a licensed speech-language pathologist, and so my therapy license is just to Indiana. So I provide in-home therapy services in Indiana, and I'm credentialed as a Medicare provider. So my therapy services are reimbursed through Medicare. But my family coaching services are a private pay basis, and I provide them across the U.S., and it's through a telehealth portal. So it's kind of like Zoom. It's virtual.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I live in New Jersey, and I want your service. So I would just contact you, and we would do it through something similar to a Zoom.
Yep.
So that you, okay. So that you could help me know or understand actually what's going on. If I showed you a doctor's report or read the doctor's report and I didn't understand it, I could say, Jessie, I had this report. Can you explain it to me?
Yes.
And, I know you would have to be in someone's home to assess them for swallowing and, the safety of the home. Obviously, you would have to be, in person to do that.
Right.
But you would, via Zoom, then what would you do other than to, explain like a doctor's report? Do you refer people to resources in their area?
I do, yeah. So the initial consult is more of me gathering information about your loved one and the challenges that you're facing. And we go over a questionnaire together, and based off of your answers, I help to kind of pinpoint what stage of the disease progression your loved one is in. And I have to do that in order to, based off of what stage your loved one is in, is going to determine the recommendations that I would have about, appropriate ways to set up your home or appropriate ways to continue to communicate with your loved one, appropriate activities to do with your loved one for cognitive stimulation. We talk about appropriate ways to tackle problems like, my loved one's not wanting to take their medications, or we're having some issues with finances, and there's a lot of confusion, and I don't know how to go about this. Or, I have a family member that I don't like to say that somebody's in denial. A lot of people say, my family member's in denial. I don't like to say that. I don't like to say that they're in denial, but maybe your family member doesn't have enough education about what this disease actually entails and, what's actually going on with their loved one's brain. So we go over, it's counseling, education, support And then we also go over different local area resources. Like, have you talked to an elder law attorney? Are there adult day centers that you're interested in? When is it time to have in-home companion care? And then just really the day-to-day. Like, these are the things that I'm struggling with, and I need somebody to talk this over with. So every family coaching session is just very individualized to each person's needs.
Right, because everyone's different. I love that you said, and you're the first person, I think, to hear, I just love that you said, I don't like to say they're in denial. They don't have, may not have the education. Yeah. How true that is. There's a lot of people, Jessie, that are not educated. That's a good point. I like that.
Yeah, and a lot of them, they're still seeing their parent or their loved one through the lens of being, the child. And a lot of times we have our own vision of our parents or our loved one, and so we're not always seeing the breakdown from day to day. So I don't like to say denial. I like to say that they just need to look at their loved one through a different lens of what the disease is doing to them, and have more education and support.
That's true. I know with my mother-in-law, it was really hard for my husband to accept the fact that his mom had to be placed. And the neurologist said to my husband, your mom needs more care than what you could give her, and for you not to place her is neglect. And I said, thank you very much, because he doesn't listen to me. Make the doctor, I learned my lesson, make the doctor the enemy, because sometimes, or the therapist, unfortunately, the enemy, because it's really hard with family members because, they may not be educated to know what this disease is all about, and they could also partly be in denial if they do know what this disease is about and don't want to face it. I know myself, I wasn't in denial about my husband's progression. I just didn't want to face his progression. Yes. Yeah. That's a tough thing. Like, wow, it's time for a hospice. I really don't want it, but you know what? It's time for it. Yeah. And, it's a tough thing to face. Now, do you tell your clients if, about hospice? Do you help them with that? Guide them?
Yeah. So, in Indiana specifically, I'm actually in a network of providers that we all cater toward. We all have businesses that cater towards like the 65 and older population. So in Indiana, I have a very close-knit community where we, refer out to one another. But also just for coaching, we discuss when is it time and what resources and, what is the benefit of hospice for not only your loved one but also for you. And that's really what I do when it's out of state. We talk about what is that benefit, when is it time, and try to figure out what are some local hospice companies in your area.
That's great. And if someone is hallucinating or delusional, and then you could explain to the family member what to do and what's going on. Yes. And how to handle that situation.
Yes. So I've explained that, and then also can act as a liaison explaining the same to if the loved one has in-home companion care, or, if they have caregivers, I can be that liaison to break down the education of, this is why your loved one is demonstrating this, and this is how we can manage it.
Right. You're a great resource. You don't know. I tell people this all the time. To know that there's resources out there, because, and this is especially for the caregivers I'm talking to. This could be for anyone. but for especially caregivers, the mortality rate, and I don't mean to be morbid, but I don't sugarcoat on this show, the mortality rate of caregivers dying is at an all-time high.
Yes.
And if I was a caregiver again, I would hire someone, because to just relieve some stress would make such a big difference. It would be such a help. There are so many people, I see this in groups, Jessie, I belong to a lot of support groups. They need someone like you. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to handle hallucinations, what to do about safety in the home, how to prevent somebody from going out the door, feeding issues.
Yes.
This is where someone like you comes in, and it would be such I would think, a relief. Oh, here is someone who can, help me. And, I know sometimes people don't have the money, but I have to say this. Is your life worth it? I mean, it's not like you have to have someone like Jessie forever. Just, like they could hire you and have you when they need you.
Right. Mhm. Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Oh, go ahead. I think it would be such a big help, especially now with the COVID and more stress added to a caregiver and their loved one. I can't help it. I get on my soapbox. I'm very passionate about caregivers taking care of themselves and getting help. Yes. Swallow your pride and get help. And if that's too blunt, well, that's how I am. Yeah. So.
No, I had a session today. I have one family that I work with. We meet every other week. Others, it's different. It's just like you said. It's just on an as-needed basis. I have some that we meet once a month. Some that I meet them every other month virtually. It's just it's what your needs are. But this particular family that I work with, we meet every other week. And just today, I work with the wife, the spouse, and she was telling me, she's the caregiver, and her husband has Lewy body dementia. And she was telling me that the week that she doesn't meet with me virtually, she meets with her therapist virtually. And that she said, I get a lot from my therapist, but my therapist doesn't get dementia. So I feel like I'm getting so much therapy in our family coaching session because she said, Jessie, you understand dementia. So you're able to look at my problems and concerns through a different lens than just my therapist does. And this is the thing. I'm not trying to, toot my own horn here, but why?
Go ahead and toot it.
Why I'm sharing this is because this is the one disease where it truly takes a village. So yes. I am a complete advocate of saying, yes, go to support groups. Yes, see your therapist. Yes, belong in Facebook groups, belong in other groups. But I think that it does not hurt to have as much support as you possibly can. And because everybody that's supporting you is going to come at it from a different angle. So don't just think that maybe one area of support that you have is filling all of the needs that you might have. I highly, I encourage people to reach out into all different types of support.
Absolutely. Yes, I agree 100%. I say the same thing. And I think what is great with someone like you, Jessie, is that, if you're doing a Zoom, say I said, okay, Jessie, I need you for a family member. I'd like to do a Zoom. You can even explain what's going on to other family members and make it clear to them because, sometimes you don't want to listen to your sibling or you don't want to listen to your spouse or your child. And this way you have a professional person telling it, in a way that can be explained. And then the other family members can, you can't make somebody accept a situation, but at least they are given the proper way to say it. You would say it in a way that they can understand. And it's not coming from a relative. It's coming from a professional. And I think that's a huge, huge help with family dynamics.
Yes. Oh, family dynamics for sure. Everybody has those family dynamics. And I actually have recently worked with another family where that was the thing. The wife was the caregiver, and she said, I'm just exhausted feeling like I have to always bring my family members up to speed on how my husband's doing. And everybody calls in and asks how he's doing, and it's just exhausting. And it's not that she didn't care that they were inquiring about how he was, but it just felt exhausting to her to have to keep up with it. So one of her requests was, could you just have a family education session where I don't feel like I have to answer to multiple different people? They can just all get the information at once. Yes.
Yeah, that's a very, very good idea. I mean, now with the technology we have today, there is no excuse why there can't be a family Zoom meeting or whatever you use to be, up to date and have a professional person speak. Like I said, you can't make your family member accept, but they're given the information. Whatever they do with it, that's their decision. We can't control other people. But I think that's fantastic. And I had to ask this, Jessie, and I'm going to open up a can of worms here, but that's what I do.
That's okay. That's all right.
Excuse me. Okay. You're a licensed person. You're a speech therapist. You have years of experience. And you took a dementia course to be certified to be a dementia coach.
Yes.
What's the difference between, you have a medical background, you took a dementia coach course, and some person like me, and if I took it, I would feel more comfortable having someone like you with a medical background and experience than someone who just took a course off of a computer. Now, that might offend some people out there. I don't really care. You can send me the hate mail. I'm just telling you how I feel and what I would be comfortable with. And I'm a former licensed practical nurse, and, I would not want someone who has no training. And, if I wanted you to come to if I lived in Indiana, where you are, and I said, okay, Jessie, come to my house. My husband's having trouble swallowing. I think he is. And he's taking forever to chew. He's taking an hour to eat a sandwich or 2 hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'd be more comfortable if you came with your background and assessed him than a dementia coach who just took a course over a matter of maybe 6 weeks. Maybe it's overnight. I have no idea. I don't know anything about dementia coach courses. But I think it's kind of scary in a way, and I want people to really know, if you're going to pick a dementia coach, pick someone. And again, this is my opinion, but I can't help it. I just can't. Pick someone that you're comfortable with, and I would prefer someone who has some kind of background training, speech therapy, or occupational therapy, physical therapy. That's just my opinion because, they may say something that's not appropriate and can make a situation worse. And this is what I would be concerned with. But see, this is my nursing background, questioning.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And this, the thing is that, gosh, how do I say this part? So the thing is that there are, aging, it's becoming a big business to have different businesses catering to, the baby boomer population is going to be bigger than ever before. So there's all these different companies that are kind of popping up. I don't want to say they're taking advantage of it. What they're providing is going to definitely be needed. But I have noticed myself that there are, from last year to this year, a lot more coaches that are popping up. And, I have to agree that, as therapists, we have years of education. We have hands-on experience. We're able to go into an environment, and, we already know that not one person with dementia or Alzheimer's or any of the dementias is the same. So the way we tackle things cannot always be the same, but we still have a certain skill set of how it's appropriate to adapt, what we recommend. But, we have to get continued education every year to keep our licenses and whatnot. But I am concerned for somebody that is meaning well. They mean well to get a coaching certification. But I think that as a consumer, I would definitely look into the credentials of the coach. And in the beginning, it was kind of like, oh, gosh, all these people are just becoming coaches. I don't know. I think actually I need to look at it from a different way of I'm actually just glad that finally there's so much more awareness out there of this disease. So there are more, coaching things that are popping up. But it's people want to help and they want to have more awareness and they want to give more education out into the community. But again, I would make sure that who you choose has, a background with the aging population and with people who, have various forms of dementia or Alzheimer's.
Yes, that's good advice. And I also think, and this is, my own opinion, folks, that baby boomers are going to be, hit with some kind of dementia. It's going to be what they call the silver tsunami. I'm one of the baby boomers. It's a huge population. And sometimes, unfortunately, people take advantage of people that are, looking for a resource or looking for a cure. And I just want to suggest be very careful of people who say that there's cures out there or say that their therapy can cure your loved one.
Yes.
Do a background check on a person who's going to come into your home, especially if they're going to come into your home. And make sure that they don't have a record. And, because I know, like with therapists, you're licensed. And I know you have to keep up your education. But with just someone who's a dementia coach, that's not licensed. They take a course. I mean, do they have to keep up with their education?
It depends on what the coaching platform is. But, yes, I believe that there are certain that you have to have a certain, classes every so many years to continue with your certification.
Oh, okay. Just it's like buyer beware. People or, know that this is a huge business, and I believe you're going to see, a lot more. And, with the COVID, a lot of people are doing, the Zoom or whatever they used to, do business. And I just want people to be careful that you're, because anyone can say that they're, a dementia coach. I would ask to see their certification, actually.
Yeah.
That's what I would.
Yeah.
I'm from New Jersey. I'm suspicious of everybody. Show me your paper, and I would still do a background check to make sure they're on the up and up. I mean, that's unfortunate, but you have to. You have to be very careful. And, I think it's great, though, that people are becoming dementia coaches, but I just want the listeners, be cautious, be careful, Jessie is licensed. She has years of experience. If you live in Indiana, I would call her. If you want to just do like a Zoom, say if you live, like I live in New Jersey, but you need some coaching, then, do a Zoom conference, because it would help you. Anything that will help you as a caregiver, I say, do it. And do it with someone who has the experience and has the knowledge. That's what I suggest. Jessie, is there anything else you would like to say about the work that you do? And can you tell people how we can contact you?
Yeah. Another component of coaching too is people. Again, I said everything is very individualized. So I've had families who I've worked with who, their loved one might be moving into an assisted living or moving from assisted living into long-term care, and they just need guidance on, how should the move go? How do they approach it? What should they make sure that they have? What questions should they be asking the facility? Because questions that you'd ask for somebody who has a memory impairment are going to be different from somebody that doesn't have a memory impairment to set them up for success in their new living environment. I've had families that, the reason why they wanted my assistance was because they were planning a vacation and they wanted to know, what all should they have set up ahead of time so that the vacation can go as smoothly as possible, and how do they talk to the family about, things are going to be a little bit different, but how can we still have an enjoyable time? I've had people that their loved one's moving in with them and they want to know what they should have in place. So again, every single family coaching session and family that I work with is completely, totally different, but it is something I'm really passionate about because I enjoy having, not everybody's family situation is the same. Everybody's unique, and I enjoy being able to spend the time answering questions that maybe, oftentimes the neurologist is not able to answer the questions when you have a visit with them or with your geriatrician. So my website is www.thememorycompass.com. My email is jessie@thememorycompass.com. And then the phone number is 317-501-7424.
And I don't remember. Do you have a business Facebook page?
I do, yep. I have a business Facebook page, just the Memory Compass Therapy and Dementia Family Coaching. And then I have an Instagram, and it's the Memory Compass Indie.
I thought you were on Facebook, but my mind drew a blank.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook.
I thought so. My mind did. Sometimes it goes blank. That's great. Thank you, Jessie, for coming on and sharing what you do. And
you're welcome.
Listen, I appreciate what you do. And folks, check out Jessie's Facebook page. She's lovely. She has a sweet face, and as soon as I saw Jessie, I said, "Oh yes, I have to interview this lovely woman." And we need more people, like you, doing what you're doing. So, thank you very much, folks. I know sometimes it's hard to say that you need help. It's not a sign of weakness. If you need help taking care of your loved one, please don't think that it is. It's a sign of strength, actually, to say, you know what, I can't do this on my own. I need help. I need help knowing how to take care of my loved one. That's a smart, strong thing to do. Don't do it all by yourself. I thought I had to do it all by myself. And I learned from my experience. And not that I am an expert, because I'm not, but I share my experiences with you, the audience, so you don't make the same mistakes that I made, because I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I made. And, get help. Call somebody. Jessie, she's in Indiana. you can call her for a Zoom conference. If you live in New Jersey like me, I, check out Jessie's Facebook page and just go on and see what she has to offer and contact her. You have nothing to lose, really. You have much to gain. And you know what, caregivers, I'm going to be very blunt here. I know money's tight, but you know what? Your health is important, and the care of your loved one is important. But what will happen to your loved one if you don't take care of yourself? Think about that. Who's going to take care of your loved one? Something to think about. And yes, I can be very blunt, and yes, I am harsh. I'm my father's daughter, but I tell it like it is. Sugarcoating, Betsy does not do. If you want sugarcoating, I'm not your girl. I'm straight up Jersey style. So it's always been like that. I just tell it like it is. But thank you so much, Jessie, for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Betsy. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Folks, happy Halloween, which is just around the corner. And November is Caregivers Month. I forgot the exact day at this point in time, but November is Caregivers Month, and I think it's National Alzheimer's Awareness. And not that we need a month or a special day, because if you're a caregiver or we're a caregiver, you know what it's like to live it 24/7, 365 a year. I was there. I know. My heart goes out to all of you. And in a world where you could be anything, please be kind and shine your light bright. This is Betsy Sloan. I am Betsy Sloan. That's my married name. This is Betsy Wurzel, host of Chatting with Betsy and Passionate World Talk Radio. Be safe, everybody. Until we chat again, be kind. Bye-bye now.